So now we are going for the next sessions. We will have 5 sessions in parallel at this moment. And we have, at this moment, Lean as a whole company strategy in the construction track. We have Roshin Kanri at Consorci Sanitari del Garraf Hospital in Barcelona. We have transforming agribusiness with lean thinking. This is interesting. Colombian case. We also have what is the problem to solve, thinking about the lean transformation framework that is also starting now. And we have the managing incompetency and creating legacy. Wow. With Sergio Calderin in Portugal and Michael Roseus. And here on the main stage, I will call Roberto Ronzani from Italy. Ciao, Roberto. You're mute. Roberto, you're mute.
Oh. Sorry, guys.
Roberto.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. So I can start, Chris.
Bye. Oh, ciao. It's with you now.
Okay. First of all, I greet all of you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, depending on where you're from. I should have been here today, not alone, but with Alessandra Gramigna, that is an employee of Toyota Material Handling in Italy. But she had a sudden fatal event that happened tonight that prevents her to be here with me. So I have gathered from her comments, and I will share with you all the comments that she told me today. So I start sharing my screen. Only 1 second, please. And here it is. You should see my slides now. So I will stay with you presenting a very important case story. The title is Achieving Zero Defect with Dantotsu Quality Improvement Methods. Okay. As most of us know, defect on product and services outflowing to the customer damages seriously our business. Also, poor quality of the product, typically caused by poor quality of processes, not of flow to customer, has also big impacts on several performance. So let me say stability of processes, productivity, on-time delivery, costs, and also stress for workers. So this was clear in the past, but today quality is much more important. In all the organization, quality of product or service is now mandatory. It needs to be achieved the goal of zero defect. So most of us are aware of this, but even we know most of us has always found very big difficulties to obtain zero defect. But is it possible achieving this goal? My answer is yes. And we learned how to do this from a Japanese sensei. His name is Sadao Nomura. We at LGN met him in 2017, visiting Toyota Material Land in Japan during our Gemba tour in Japan. And in that occasion, he told us a story already described in his book. This is his book, how he was able to achieve terrific improvements overseeing Toyota logistic and forklift plants he worked with in Japan and outside Japan in the previous years. Before joining TEL&F, he spent more than 40 years in Toyota Motor Company, the company that produced cars, working in manufacturing first and also in quality assurance to support Toyota supplies on global operations. His goal in these 40 years of activity was promote development of key quality and productivity, performance, process these that led to best ever known vehicle launch performance with full-scale production. Then he moved to Toyota Material Handling, and him and Toyota Material Handling proved that even the best can be better, doing something more. This is what he discovered. We can see here some notes of his story in Toyota Material Handling. The name in Italy of Toyota Logistic and Forklift. He had started to implement what we call Dantotsu Quality activities in 2006 and temporarily ended in March 2016. Dantotsu, for who doesn't know, is a word that means something like extreme or awesome or radical. So Dantotsu quality is quality performance that is extremely better, a radical quality improvement. At that time, Toyota had just bought 3 companies in Europe, as you can see on the left, in Italy, in France, or in Sweden. And he was sent there to these 3 companies to help them improving their processes and absorbing the Toyota way. So he first visited this plant to grasp the situation, and what he saw is a lot of poor quality problems. And working with them, he wrote out all problems and their countermeasure in some A3 size paper in a way easy to understand. Instructed people how to implement measure, and he asked them to implement these for next visit. He made this in a very simple but surely effective way. But what happened in Italy? After the first visit, he was back after around 5 months, but he found the same number of defects, the same situation before. So he gave again the manager the same kind of written notes, telling them emphatically, be sure to do this thing for next time, in a very Japanese way. But at the third visit, nothing was changed. And so almost 1 year passed without improvements. What happened in that time, in that first time? So I asked Alessandra, and she told me that at the beginning, his direct approach was considered too much strict, and his way of teaching didn't work at all. He was seen as, in Italy, Japanese are normally seen, so people devoted only to rules and not to creativity. But the Italian managing director understood that it wasn't a language problem, but a culture one. So he decided to hire a cultural mediator able to know Japanese language first, but most of all, Japanese culture. And thanks to this mediation, Nomura began to meet the Italian needs, listening to their difficulties. And Italians, of course, understood Nomura's method and his efficacy. It took time. First step was find some form of dialogue and gain a mutual trust. Second step became aware of what should and could be done. And the third step to create a motivation. Nomura, Alessandra told me, was really good in teaching. And before asking to do something, he explained very well how to do. Italians were very surprised to see a manager like him without ties and shirt and suits, walking in the workshop at the speed of light and writing down anything in a small piece of paper. And and from this piece of paper, he translated in big A3 size paper. And we'll see this kind of memo later. And by the way, Alessandra was the mediator that the managing director hired in that time. So in his process, he started involving people, first of all, understanding the root cause of defects through the 4Ms. But why he used the 4Ms? I asked Alessandra, and she told me that Nomura, before going into the technique, explained the theory. For him, it was essential that the problem solved is it's entirely, not apparently. A problem is solved only when the real cause is understood. Good countermeasures means that the problems do not occur twice. To get to this, it is necessary not stopping the generic. It means that only problems must be faced from 4 points of view, the 4Ms, of course. Just an example. When he found the quality defect and he asked to the cause of the first, answer was operator error. He did not accept such kind of answer, teaching them that before attributing causes, it was necessary to see if everything had been done. Are the standards on which to train? Has the operator been training? How did you make sure his understanding? Often is not only the operator's fault, but perhaps a lack of method. So the message coming from Alessandra words were never stop at the generic. So first of all, he based his work with people, increasing their consciousness of all these subjects. And I will let you know what are the main subjects he told them. The first was the importance of quality. Quality is the base point for every manufacturer, and the most important thing is to surpass competitors with quality. The second is a recognition of a current state of quality, and of course, outflow of quality defect to the market did not stop, causing great inconvenience to customers. And his suggestion was go back to the basic of monozukuri, that means conscientious manufacturing. The third subject was quality activity policy. Since quality would not improve immediately, it was decided that improvement activities would be continued for 3 years, even if they took more than 3 years. And he called these activities Dantotsu Quality. And not last, the fourth was quality targets. A quality defect at vehicle manufacturing plant or supplier to be halved each year for 3 years, and the market claims to be halved within 3 years. And the last one was a progress follow-up, of course. I will show you some of these examples. This is the first, the target. As you can see, the target not as overall, but the target for each department. Target to reduce defects coming from welding, from painting, for assembly. And so he initially planned to do all of this in 3 years, but it took not only 3 years, but he went them again for other couple of years, motivating year by year the entire group to continue forward to achieve the ultimate goal, that is zero defect. And looking at this, I asked Alessandra how Italian managers accepted Nomura advices to achieve this target, because they are very strong targets. And Alessandra told me that everyone seemed to only have trust in it, but started the activity any case, at last by saying, let's do it anyway. It had to be done anyway. Nomura is our boss. He wants to be done, and will do. So initially, they didn't trust at all, but they did it. And in order to deal with so many students, that means the people in the companies, not only Italians, but also the French ones and the Sweden one, he prepared some A3 size text sheets, written either in Japanese and in English, about each step to teach, giving Genchi Genbutsu lessons 8 hours a day using the text. So he was writing everything he saw in the Gemba, and each approach was not so theoretical, but it was situational. So the specific problem he had seen in Gemba found some specific countermeasures, and he wrote his countermeasure directly in the paper. The one you can see here on the left, for example, is the 8-step quality defect reduction method, one of the most important methods that he taught to people. At the end of his program, the number of A3 size memo reached 300. And these memos were spread all over the world, and all these 300 paper are known as a Nomura memo or Nomura method. Another important management tool he used was and is nowadays the Asaichi meeting. Alessandra told me something about the importance of this, and she said, Asaichi literally means the morning market is one of the good examples. Nomura has made it clear the true purpose of this meeting, not only to talk about problems, but to ensure that all departments meet and talk face to face. It is a very strong communication tool. Nomura made sure everyone participated, especially the top management. And from the beginning, there was also the CEO of the Italian material handling plants participating to all this kind of meeting every morning. At the first, it was considered by Italian staff as a waste of time, but now, in this moment, we can't do without it. This is what Alessandra told me some days ago. So nowadays, Italians consider this meeting very, very important. Thanks to interfacing of everyone and the presence of people with decision-making power, the problems are more visible and can be solved quickly. Asaichi is done every morning. It takes 15 minutes, around 15 minutes, between Italians, of course, Italian responsible, Italian supervisor, and so on. And nowadays, there's no longer a need of any Japanese control. Thanks to it, they had a very strong decrease of defect, achieving the results that I showed you before. Another tool is Weakpoint Management. Any defect coming back from the field is analyzed in detail. And so understanding what are the weaknesses and implementing the possible countermeasure. And the countermeasure, the result of countermeasure is checked for some months. So if a countermeasure doesn't work enough to reduce defects, a second countermeasure is implementing, a third, until after 1 year of checking, the results is stable. Okay, this is what this is another tool that are using from defects that come back from the field. A third tool that I would like to present you is the quality is achievable only with a very good standardization and strict implementation of standards. On my point of view, what is very interesting in Nomura approach is his advice to standardize also the ancillary process, not only the main process, the production process, but also all that processes that can support the first process. For example, here I show you a couple of these processes. How to manage derivates, so the material that you get back after being using in the main process, or for example, how to manage the manuals of standard. Normally, we are not so focused inside companies to be very keen in implement the standard in this part of processes, but they are considered very important to support the main process. One more is the training, of course, and about this, I asked Alessandra what his Italian people in Toyota Material Handling thinking about this. On their point of view, training is really essential, not just oral, but based on standard. And Nomura explained them that the importance of speaking with operator and to make them acquire agility at work through good practical training, not only with words or long procedures, but with visual tools and simple standards. You can see here some pictures of devices that have been used to train workers. And this is my comment. Without good standard and good trainers, of course, nothing can be achieved. And training dojo that is spread in many companies, it is used in many companies in this time, is an important tool that helps trainer and trainee to make the training successful. Something more about Nomura. Nomura was back in Italy. We invited him just before pandemic to visit some companies. You can see here the lady in these two pictures is Alessandra, that was translating in Italian Nomura comments. And during that time, we had the opportunity to visit Toyota Material Handling in Italy, and these pictures are also in another Italian company. And I was asking Alessandra what happened in the management, and particularly what has changed in the approach of manager along those years of quality Dantotsu activity implementation. And she told me that at first, the managing director agreed to do things because they were ordered by Nomura, not because he and his team believed to understand or understood them. Nomura worked first of all on managerial commitment, and his memos were addressed to them, not to the operative persons. He believed that commitment of managers was the key to demonstrate the validity of Toyota production system. Once they understood the importance, now we do things not because Nomura arrives to check, but because it is needed. These are words of Alessandra. Having worked on managers and with them, we really began to go towards Toyota way of thinking. With the Nomura, Toyota culture spread came before techniques. So Nomura was really able to transfer the culture first before let me say, to introduce tools. And he was able to do this even asking to people to implement tools. At last, of course, time is limited, and Alessandra is not here to answer possible question you could have. But what I can suggest you is to, if you would like to have a deeper understanding of his method, I suggest you to buy this book. You can find in English in this moment, but I know as in Italy, other institutes are translating the book in their local language. What has to be clear is that this is the way to really implement one of the pillars of Toyota production system, that is Jidoka, that can be translated as automation without a human touch. When a problem occurs, the equipment stops immediately, preventing defective product from being produced. And a just-in-time concept in which each process produces only what is needed for the next process in a continuous flow. And what we saw in Japan first, and I had the opportunity to visit the Italian plant too, was exactly like this. If a problem happens, you have to stop production and to solve the problem immediately. And they are able now to implement a way to implement the countermeasure the first or the second day after the defect has been found, finding the root cause and implementing the countermeasure immediately. So this is what I could share with you. If you have any question, you can ask me. I'm not sure I can answer because I'm not Alessandra, but I try to do my best, or I can possibly I can share some answers after this meeting if you have any questions, and let me have your email address. I finished 3 minutes before the limit.
Hello, Roberto.
Sorry, guys, but yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear and I can see you perfectly. I think you're still seeing your shared screen. This is why you cannot see us. But we have a question here from Gregory. Let me try to help you.
Sorry,
from Gregory.
Okay?
Hi, Roberto. Hi, Roberto. What is the difference between Kaizen and Dantotsu?
Kaizen, this is my feeling. Kaizen is the continuous improvement. Day by day, you have to do something better. Dantotsu is a word that means you are ahead of others, but not so close to others. You are ahead others, and the distance is very large. So Dantotsu means extremely. To achieve Dantotsu quality, you should implement Kaizen every day, day by day, day by day. And the target should be very, very, very strong. This is my feeling about the differences between Kaizen and Dantotsu.
Okay, I think we have time to one more question. Let's see. Hi, Roberto, you are great. A couple of questions. How do you think Italian companies perceive this process? What are the next challenges they will have to face?
I don't know how Italian companies perceive this process. I know what happened in Bologna. Bologna is the city where Toyota Material Handling is located. As Nomura said, at the beginning was difficult, but after 1 year, they understood how to do. And when I listened to Nomura some years ago, he told us that nowadays, I don't know so far now, but 3 years ago, Italian plant is better than all all the other companies of Toyota outside Japan. So for Italian can be difficult, but he demonstrated that it can be done.
Okay. So, Roberto, thank you very much. And anybody who wants to get in touch with Roberto, you can do so at the platform. And so, ciao, Roberto.
Ciao to everybody.